Navy Department presents December 7th.
How you doing? This is the guy from Pittsburgh, and that's the clip of the beginning of the documentary "The Attack Pearl Harbor" by John Ford. I've had a lot of weird stuff happen to me, but one of the weirdest was when I was on a street corner in San Francisco in the 1970s. There I am, standing at First and Mission, and back then, almost every corner in San Francisco had a news vendor stand. And at one time, San Francisco had 11 newspapers, or 12 or 13, I can't remember. There was the News, the Call, the Bulletin, the Examiner, the Chronicle, Ilka Tribune, multiple other papers, and they would be all in clips. You'd have them on clips on both sides of the doorway of the little booth. And the news vendors would yell, "Extra, extra," and they'd yell out the headline of the day. So in the winter, I'm standing there, I'm looking at the headline of the day, and by this time there's only two papers in San Francisco. There's the Chronicle and the Examiner. And cars are going by the Transbay Terminal, which isn't there anymore, where the streetcars went, and the Greyhound, and the old key system trains ran across the bay to Oakland and beyond, Emeryville and beyond. And suddenly, like heat shimmering off of asphalt on a hot summer day, the scene changed. Now it's a bright winter day. I mean, not a cloud in the sky, blue skies, nippy. I'm standing here with my jacket on. I'm watching the people go by and the cars go by, and suddenly everything changes. Suddenly, instead of two papers in front of me, there's 13, clipped to clips on wires. The news vendor changes. Instead of someone from the 1970s, he's wearing the clothes of the late 1930s or early 1940s. All the women and men rushing by are wearing clothing of that era as well, and they're having the hairstyles there. All the cars are not 1960s or 70s or even 50 cars, but 1930s and a few smattering of 1940s cars. All the shops around me have changed. Instead of a restaurant in front of me, it's a drugstore. Instead of another store, it's a millinery shop. Transbay Terminal changed. The flags, instead of 50 states, has a 48-state flag. There's old buses from the 30s and 40s out in front, old streetcars with the livery of the Muni Railway, delivery trucks with numbers like Bigelow 8 instead of the dials we're familiar with today, in Madison, which I think was one of the old San Francisco exchanges, if memory serves me. Suddenly I look at myself and I've changed. I'm still me, but my clothes have changed to something like a 1940s suit. And I'm just dumbfounded. I'm awestruck. So as I gaze at one of the papers hanging there, I notice the date. It says December 6, 1941. And there's an article on the front page, and it said Stimson to meet with Kurosawa and Nomura in Washington for peace talks. And I'm boggled by this because I know what happened on December 7th, where the Japanese ambassador, who was a former admiral, if I remember correctly, I've got Gordon Prang's book around here, As Dawn We Slept, and his Miracle at Midway, tells the whole story, including there's Walter Lord's book and some other books. John Toland wrote a book on Pearl Harbor too. So I'm reading the article in the paper, and I'm looking at the news guy, and he's looking at me. We're both looking at our clothes, but he didn't seem to be out of place, but I am. And after reading the article and reading the rest of the news of the day, news of the Pacific, Singapore, Hong Kong, all of that, and the war in Europe, where the Nazis are fighting the British to a standstill, and they're fighting in Russia. Well, the air shimmers again. The scene changes, everything stops, and there I am back in 1970s. Wearing my 1970s clothes, the cars have changed back to normal. The people have changed back the way they look. The stores, streetcars, buses, delivery trucks, a news vendor, everything is as it was. But somehow I passed through some kind of window in time, and I don't know how, don't know why. But I got a glimpse into the past. For how long, I don't know, but I figured it had to be 5 minutes. And there I was standing there, going back into history 30 years in a second. So that's another paranormal story that I saw happen. And about a year later, I wound up selling newspapers at one point. It was easy money, cheap rent, no phone to speak of. I mean, I had a phone, but didn't use it much. Went out with my friend Glenn to Candlestick after work. We went and saw a lot of Giants games, a lot of Pirates playing the Giants. The great Roberto Clemente. Rent was $100 a month, and we had it easy. No credit cards, no bills, except a PG&E bill and food. So I'm standing at 450 Sutter, which was a building you see in the Maltese Falcon. Very ornate building, gold leaf all over the place. Same thing happens. Everything shimmers. There's back to the 1940s again. No newsstand except for my newspapers I was selling, but everything changed, and then it went back to normal. I don't know how to explain it to this day, but I saw it. I was there. And one day I'll go down to the San Francisco Library and see if they have any of those old newspapers on microfilm and see if I can find the article I was reading. So this is the guy from Pittsburgh. I got 2 more videos to do. One's going to be a quick one, and then the other one I've got to go down and feed the poor cats. And then I'll be doing one on Art Bell himself. And Free Art Bell, hashtag Free Art Bell, and I'll catch you next time. And please donate to my PayPal account on my forum, http the guy from Pittsburgh.boardhost.com, so I can produce better videos and do remotes and stand outside my camera and take candid pictures of me so little Chris can drool all over me. I couldn't resist. But he wants to start a website for me. So, all right. Hello, bell gabbers. Goodbye, bell gabbers. And you all know who the heck I am. Have a great morning, and I will catch you next time in the next video. Bye-bye.